Explosive details now emerging of a drug connection in the Sushant Singh Rajput death investigations, and the details that we're about to show you are absolutely explosive. The Narcotics Control Bureau is now becoming a part of these investigations. So far, this case was being investigated by the Central Bureau of Investigation and the Enforcement Directorate because there were allegations of money laundering, there was allegation of misappropriation, there were also allegations of a death that remained unexplained. But now, India Today has accessed explosive details, a WhatsApp conversation, and a WhatsApp conversation that took place between 2017 and 2019, and the allegations are extremely serious. Rhea Chakraborty, an actor and a close associate and friend of late actor Sushant Singh Rajput, and an alleged connection with elements that were associated with drug peddling, hash and MDMA. But before I get you more details on this case, I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Munish Pandey, who joins us with the latest on the story. So Munish, give us details of the WhatsApp conversations, and apparently these WhatsApp conversations lasted 2 years between 2017 and 2019 and mentioned hash, MDMA and an alleged connection with known drug peddlers. Munish, bring us details.
Yeah, well, Gaurav, this has become very serious, and this is a very dramatic turn in the entire death case of Sushant Singh Rajput. Now remember, in this case, what we have been given to understand is that these are the retrieved messages of Rhea Chakraborty. Remember, her phone data was dumped by the Enforcement Directorate, and then that data has been shared with the Central Bureau of Investigation and Narcotics Control Bureau. Now what we have been given to understand, and we do have the retrieved messages in our record, that Rhea Chakraborty was talking about drugs, and in 2019 April on 17 she texted a person that the stuff is almost over, and then a person by name Samuel Sushi, that's the name saved on that phone, that is why Samuel Sushi. It is suspected that that person is no one else but Samuel Miranda, and Sushi might be for someone else. But now in that message there is elaborate reply that we can take this stuff from Shavik, Rhea's brother, but he only have hash and bud. So these are the drugs they are talking about with Samuel Miranda and Rhea Chakraborty. Again, there is one conversation between Jaya Shah and the other person is Rhea Chakraborty, where they are talking about that take only few drops in tea or coffee, and after 30 to 40 minutes it will give you a very good kick. So these are the conversation which has been retrieved from Rhea Chakraborty's phone records. Now why this is interesting, because these are the chats not only of 2017 or 2018 but also 2019 and 2020 when she was with Sushant Singh Rajput. There are also allegations of money laundering and criminal conspiracy and abetment of suicide, as you pointed out. But now this has given a very dramatic turn in the entire investigation, because now CBI has already started looking into all these evidences, and now Rhea Chakraborty may be booked for. Yes, Gaurav.
This is extremely serious. Stay with me for a moment and let's go over this in a step-by-step manner. When we talk of these conversations that were taking place between Rhea Chakraborty and some of the associates, there's a conversation which is a very, very interesting conversation, and perhaps this is something that Rhea Chakraborty will have to explain. And correct me if I'm wrong, now the Narcotics Control Bureau is also getting involved with this probe, because this conversation with Sushil alias Samuel Miranda seems to indicate take the stuff from Shavik, we have hash. Bring us details of this entire elaborate conversation and how the NCB, the Narcotics Control Bureau, now gets involved.
Well, Gaurav, we have a confirmation that Miranda Shushi, the person on retrieved message, no one else but Samuel Miranda, and the second person is Rhea Chakraborty. So we have this confirmation at this point of time. Now, you know why this is important, because these things are about drugs, and drugs are banned substances. There is a legal provision that anyone who is consuming drugs, that person can be booked, and the person who is dealing, that person also can be booked. And yeah, we are talking about consumption and dealing of drugs. So this is going to be extremely serious. Now, Central Bureau of Investigation got this evidence last evening from the Enforcement Directorate. The NCB has got a letter from the Enforcement Directorate, and now they have already started looking into it. NCB has a zonal office in Mumbai, and sources within the NCB have told India Today that they have also already started looking into, and not only Rhea Chakraborty and Samuel Miranda, but also there were people who were in touch with Rhea Chakraborty and Samuel Miranda, and probably those people are no one else but drug peddlers. So this will become very serious. It's an entire chain of drug network we are talking about, and this conversation that the stuff is almost over, Shavik only has ganja and hash and bud, and the third conversation is about MDMA, have some a few drops in your coffee or tea, and then it will give you a good kick. So these are extremely sensitive and serious in nature, and that is why now CBI, apart from looking at the angle of murder, abatement of suicide or financial angle, now this new turns of event is that Rhea Chakraborty will also be probed for her connections with drug peddlers, drug consumptions and drug dealings. Gaurav.
And apparently, Munish, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not restricted just to Rhea Chakraborty. This chain goes far beyond. From what we've been told by our sources, Munish, and you know better, so it's Rhea Chakraborty. 4 mobile phones have now been confiscated, along with 2 other computers. Some of the evidence, from what sources tell India Today, had been removed from the mobile phones and the computers, and that's why they've been sent for forensic examination. And these conversations from the mobile phone, Rhea Chakraborty's mobile phone, apparently her brother's mobile phone, and 2 other mobile phones that have been recovered, seem to indicate a conversation with a certain Gaurav Arya. What more do we know of this individual, where there's a conversation apparently about MD? Is MD short form for MDMA?
Gaurav, you raised a very important point. This is not only restricted to Rhea Chakraborty. This now, Shavik Chakraborty, Rhea's brother, he is already under scanner in this drug connection, because there is in the conversation they are talking about Shavik also. Samuel Miranda, who was the house manager of Sushant Singh Rajput, and why Samuel Miranda is important, because remember there is already the probe agency, Enforcement Directorate, which told India Today that Samuel Miranda is the person who, on the instructions of Rhea Chakraborty, replaced all the staffs of Sushant Singh Rajput. The staffs were replaced, so Samuel Miranda has been grilled even today by the Central Bureau of Investigation, and I think, and according to sources, Central Bureau of Investigation has already asked Samuel Miranda about these drug charges. So this is going to be very serious. It's going to be not only restricted to Rhea Chakraborty but other persons. Gaurav Arya is a person we have been given to understand that someone who is very close to Rhea Chakraborty, and this will not be only for consumption, because they are asking whether they should take it from Shavik or not. It means they are also talking about dealings of drugs. So this will be a bigger chain, and now it seems that this will be very serious for Rhea Chakraborty, because even drug consumption is something which is banned under Narcotic Substance Act, and any person who is found consuming drugs, that person also can be rehabilitated, that person can be booked, and if they found dealing of drugs, then the person will have to go to jail for several years. Gaurav.
What we're also being told is that a member of parliament and a member of parliament linked to the ruling party has indicated that there is a Dubai connection. Can you give us details if a certain Dubai connection linked to drugs, linked to narcotics, linked to Bollywood is currently under investigation?
Well, Gaurav, there are reports that a person by name Ayaz Khan, that person is reportedly a drug dealer, and that person was in touch with Sushant Singh Rajput. Subramaniam Swamy also raised this question and said, what was the reason for Sushant Singh Rajput to meet that person? He has indicated that there is some connection between death of Sushant Singh Rajput and the drug peddler Ayaz Khan. Also, the second Dubai connection is Sandeep Singh. And we on India Today broke this story today that Sandeep Singh is a person who claims that he is very close to Sushant Singh Rajput, but in last 1 year there is not a single conversation. But even Sandeep Singh went to Dubai several times. That is what Subramaniam Swamy has alleged. So Sandeep Singh, the other person Gaurav, these are going to be very crucial for the investigation, because remember, Gaurav, this investigation is not only restricted to abetment of suicide. The CBI has come into picture after 2 months, and they have to rely on circumstantial evidence, and that is why all these people, even those who are those who claim to be Sushant's friend, they will be under scanner of CBI. And we have been given to understand is that Sandeep Singh and the person who went to Dubai, Ayaz Khan, all are under scanner at this point of time, and they may be called for questioning by the Central Bureau of Investigation in connection to Sushant's death. Gaurav.
This is a huge twist in the Sushant Singh Rajput death investigations. We still do not know whether it was death by suicide, whether there was foul play involved. All of this is currently a matter of investigation by the Central Bureau of Investigation. But there are new layers in this case, and India Today is getting you every side of that story. According to sources in the Narcotics Control Bureau, there is an aspect of this investigation, a link with a certain Gaurav, a link with a certain Samuel Sushil, and a link of exchanges, WhatsApp exchanges between Rhea Chakraborty and some of these elements, and a Dubai connection that is currently underway. As of now, Mumbai police investigations seem to indicate that it was death by suicide, but initial investigations that have been carried out by the Central Bureau of Investigation, Munish, do they indicate? Take a look at what Rhea said to Gaurav Arya. You have MD with a question mark. This is in 2017 on the 8th of March at 8:55 p.m. Is this the drug clincher? What does MD mean? Who is Gaurav Arya? What is Gaurav Arya's association with actor Rhea Chakraborty? Then Jayeshwar to Rhea, we've asked him to coordinate with Shruti, and we've have it sent up. Again to Rhea, use 4 drops in coffee, tea or water and let him sip it. Give it 30 to 40 minutes for it to kick in. These were conversations that were happening in November 2019. And what's extremely interesting, Munish, that these conversations that start in 2017 carry through 2018 and 19, go up to April of 2020, and in this conversation of April 2020, take the stuff from Shawik, we have hash, but he has just hash and bud. Elaborate this, join the dots and tell us what this means, Munish.
Well, Gaurav, this conversation started from 2017 and 2019 and 2020. Now, these are retrieved messages. There might be several other messages which has been retrieved or which might have been retrieved. And these messages were deleted just before the Enforcement Directorate called Rhea Chakraborty for questioning. So it was very clear that Rhea Chakraborty knew that the ED or the other agencies might suspect her of being involved in drugs, and that she might be under scanner for this thing, and that is why these messages were deleted. But now agencies had it, and now CBI and Narcotics Control Bureau have started investigating into it. But why this timing is important? 2017, if the retrieved messages are authentic, and according to ED, these are authentic messages retrieved by forensic experts. So she was involved in drugs since 2017 at least. Now she met Sushant Singh Rajput in 2019 and she was with Sushant Singh Rajput till June 8, 2020. And now there is one allegation by the family that Sushant Singh Rajput was completely fit, mentally fit till the time he met Rhea Chakraborty. Also, one of the allegations by KK Singh, father of Sushant Singh Rajput, is that Rhea Chakraborty was giving overdose of medicines, overdose of drugs. That is what he alleged. And now here we are talking about Rhea Chakraborty. While she was with Sushant Singh Rajput, she was talking about drugs. Confirmation about whether she was consuming or dealing, that is a part of investigation. But the primary findings of Enforcement Directorate indicates that there was something going on with Rhea Chakraborty as far as drug peddlers, drug dealings and drug consumption is concerned. And these conversations are crystal clear according to CBI. Yes.
This is extremely serious. This is extremely, extremely serious. When drugs, when narcotics come into an investigation. Stay with me for a moment. I want to quickly bring in our Western India Bureau Chief and Executive Editor, Sahil Joshi, who joins us for more on the story. Sahil, does this now give a new twist to this entire tale? Drugs, dealing / consumption. And here, the questioning of actor Rhea Chakraborty in Sushant Singh Rajput's death become extremely crucial.
Well, Gaurav, the drugs hasn't come because of these messages for the first time. If you remember, India today, 3 days back, had revealed through Neeraj's statement to Mumbai police, in which Neeraj has specifically mentioned about consumption of marijuana, what we call in Hindi as ganja, during various parties. And in Neeraj's statement, if I can read out, he has specifically mentioned that during the parties, Samuel Jacob, who's also been named as Sam, would roll the joints for Sushant sir. Sometimes he himself would roll the joints for Sushant sir. That's what Neeraj had mentioned that time. Now, Samuel Jacob, which Neeraj had mentioned, who is to roll joints for Sushant, is one of his friends who was there with him till 2019. And these messages are also of 2019. In one of the messages which Munish has revealed, where Rhea has been messaged by someone called Sushi Sam, it is also likely that he can be Samuel Jacob, who was his friend. And if you collaborate that with Neeraj, his cook statement, we can collaborate that he can be Samuel Jacob as well. Now, Neeraj has specifically mentioned that during the parties, this marijuana used to be consumed by the people who were part of the party, including Sushant Singh Rajput. That's what Neeraj has told Mumbai police. That is part of the statement. The statement is now also part of what CBI is investigating. Now, of course, the Narcotics Control Bureau is also part of this investigation, as revealed today in the afternoon that they have also started this investigation. Yes. Now, they will have to take it to the 14th June because these messages are from 2017 and 2019. Now, they will have to connect it to 14 June, if at all.
All the way up to 2020 April. All the way up to April 2020, Sahil. But Sahil, what becomes extremely crucial at this point of time is whether so far it was he said, she said. Now, is this, Sahil, in your appreciation, corroborative evidence? Mobile phone, WhatsApp exchanges between Rhea Chakraborty, allegedly between a mobile phone that was used by Rhea Chakraborty and some of these people who are under investigation as alleged drug peddlers. Does this give a sinister new twist to the investigations, Sahil?
Absolutely, because as I said in the beginning, that this is also part of the investigation, and that was revealed first by the statement who was present on 14th of June in Sushant's house. The Neeraj, he is a prime witness in this particular case. CBI has interrogated him a couple of times. Mumbai police had interrogated him a couple of times. And he had specifically mentioned that about consumption of drugs, specifically marijuana. And that's what we can see in the messages as well. Now, these drugs were consumed by Rhea. What she asking for the drugs for someone else, that is something now what is going to be the part of the investigation. Now, these messages have come from the mobile data which was recovered by Enforcement Directorate during the investigation, because the mobile data was the data has been taken as a dump from Shauvik's as well as Rhea's mobile phones when they were called for interrogation by the Enforcement
Yes,
Directorate.
if I may, did any of this investigation, Munish, come out when the Mumbai police, did any of this information come out when the Mumbai police was investigating this case, or has this information, Munish, come out only when the CBI, the ED, and now the NCB, the Narcotics Control Bureau, got involved with this, Munish?
Well, Gaurav, as far as this information is concerned, Enforcement Directorate is the first agency to come across the data, and because Enforcement Directorate is a central agency which only deals with financial matters, they passed on this information to Central Bureau of Investigation and Narcotics Control Bureau. CBI was given this information and this evidence last evening, and CBI has been given this afternoon. Now, about Mumbai police, as of now, what I have been given to understand is that this information was not available with Mumbai police. Rhea's mobile phone data was not taken by the Mumbai police because they recorded her statement as a witness, and after the initial finding by Mumbai police that death of Sushant Singh Rajput is because of suicide, and they never suspected any foul play, they never went into any other direction of investigation. Now, Mumbai police has to answer why they never investigated in this direction. But apart from that, CBI and the Narcotics Control Bureau, they have started investigation into the case. And if I request my camera person to show you the visuals of this DRDO office where I'm still standing, and Samuel Miranda is a person who was questioned today. And why this is important, because last evening CBI got this information and Samuel Miranda came for the first time in CBI office. So there is high possibility that Samuel Miranda was questioned by the CBI in connection to his messages to Rhea Chakraborty, where they were talking about hash, they were talking about bud, they were talking about other drugs. So Samuel Miranda, we can say that he is being investigated by CBI for Rhea's drug connection.
Yes. Give me a moment. Let me also bring in Sahil. MD is commonly known as ecstasy. It's a drug that's primarily used for recreational purposes. The desired effect includes altered sensation, increased energy, and pleasure. But the other aspect of this investigation, Sahil, is why did the Mumbai police not probe this? Were they very keen to pass this off as suicide? And does the truth lie elsewhere?
Well, to answer to that question, it's very simple that, none of the, all these investigations started by the CBI after, the family members of Sushant Singh Rajput registered an FIR in Bihar. Before that, none of the family members raised any kind of doubts about Rhea or anyone else. As far as the financial dealings are concerned, the Mumbai police did not file anything. Even Enforcement Directorate hasn't yet gone ahead with any kind of those findings. But, as far as the drugs are concerned, there was a mention of the drug in a couple of statements taken from Sushant Singh Rajput's, the people who were working with Sushant Singh Rajput. So in their statements, the mention of drug had already come in. Now, whether that drug was consumed on the day of 14th of June, it's something which is not yet known. But the mention of the drug had come during Mumbai police's investigation. But finally, the investigation could not go beyond a point, because then the Bihar police got involved. The case went to the Supreme Court, and then it was transferred to the CBI. So the whole investigation couldn't reach here. By the time it went further, the case was already transferred to CBI, and then ED also got into it. once the case was registered in Bihar. So that is how the case has traveled so far. But yes, the mention of the drug was first, I mean, people got to know about it through the statements given by the people who used to work for Sushant Singh Rajput, and that is part of the investigation, as that is part also of that is also part of the statements given to the Mumbai police by the people who used to work for Sushant Singh Rajput.
Fair enough. Sahil Joshi, Munish Pandey and India Today's team of reporters will continue to dig in to get you facts and only facts associated with the Sushant Singh Rajput death investigations. That is all I have time for on India First this evening. A lot more coming up on the other side of these messages. Keep watching India Today.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.